Hospitals are undergoing a tremendous change in the current setting. I've been the leader of St. Joseph Hospital for the past 4.5 years. I've been in the industry, in the acute care space, for 40 years, and I've never seen anything quite like it. And while if it has only been 3 years that we've had a pandemic, each of those years kind of felt like dog years. So even though you got a 60-year-old executive standing in front of you, the bones feel like I'm 81 and still struggling along. But we clearly, go to the next slide. We clearly got to change. The Jack Welch quote, "Change before you have to." Gosh, I wish we listened to that over a decade ago when he made that quotation, but we did it. We were unprepared, and we certainly have found that we are facing quite a bit of challenges in the acute care and the post-acute care industry. So what are we going to do about it? I mean, the industry is people taking care of people, and when you have an imbalance of less workforce and more demand, you have quite a bit of a challenge. So next slide. So how do we promote that culture of work-life balance? In the professional services, we're all, we hear about work from home, increased productivity, employees working longer, greater fulfillment, greater balance. We're envious in the acute care space. What our team is feeling is exhaustion, sometimes a little bit of anger, feeling of being defeated and under siege. And that comes from the whole demand side of the equation is ramping up while the workforce piece has been ramping down. You have folks who delayed care for too long, and now patients are presenting to our hospitals in late stage disease. Families not understanding that. We have just the pandemic alone. Last week we had the highest number of COVID patients in the entire New Hampshire hospital system. It's supposed to be an endemic, casually occurring in the environment, but it wasn't, and that's still occurring. And then you have the divisiveness in the community, whether it be in the media, or whether it just be in the community, and that just has really worn down the healthcare workforce. Many nursing organizations have quoted and studied that over 1.2 to 2 million nurses have left the profession since 2019. So those 3 years, we have seen a huge shift. Now the profession was aging in place, and we saw the average age of the medical surgical nurse was running around 55 years, and the pandemic just pushed that too far, and we saw mass retirements and people leaving the profession. So keeping work-life balance is really important for us from a retention, and our goal is it's going to take a while to grow our workforce, and we have strategies with partnerships with higher ed, but the key right now that's going to help us is around retention. So in terms of just balancing, what do we do now? We have instituted scheduling that employees do on their own. We use a software called When to Work. We have flexible scheduling where appropriate, where we match shifts to demand and services. And we even use stub periods, like 4-hour blocks where we need a little extra help. Trying to give some balance to a workforce that actually has to be face-to-face. Next slide. So we went out and implemented a tactic called the stay interview. I don't know, how many folks have heard of stay interviews? Okay, a few. If you go Google the Society for Human Resource Management, stay interview, they'll give you a whole outline of it. We were kind of pressed to get this program up and running quickly, And so we hired a consultant. There's a whole cottage industry. And what this is a short conversation between the direct supervisor and the employee. And there's very specific questions. It's not about the business of providing health care. It's about you and how do you feel about your current role. How are you feeling about the culture in the department? Maybe we hired accidentally a toxic employee. How is that changing the culture? Where's the department going? How are we going to manage or help you to navigate those work-life challenges that are waiting you at home? For us, I can't believe I'm kind of singing the praises. Prior to the stay interview, our nurse turnover rate for at least 3 years in a row was 29%. So a third of our nurses churn every year. Instituted the stay interview process at the end of 21, and we have seen our turnover rate in nurses for 22 drop to 19%. Again, I can't believe I'm celebrating that I have 1 in 5 of my nursing staff walk out of the building, but it is a very portable industry right now. Given that that's a quarter of my workforce, and the average direct cost to turnover of a full-time nurse is $26,000, let alone lost revenue from the ability to having to cap your capacity in an acute care space. So we have found stay interviews to be a really great tool, and it's really helped us get closer and build that trust and respect. It's allowed us to help the employee build their career pathway, and that we're fortunate we have a school of nursing attached that gives out not only certificates in medical assistant, phlebotomy, nursing assisting, but it also gives out degrees, associate degrees for nurses. And we have created a beautiful career track for our employees because everyone has to have a stay interview at a minimum once a year. And from that, we then fund some of that development with a commitment, no different than you would in the armed services if they put you through college. We have also found that we've had to go to more socially determined benefits. It isn't just healthcare insurance, dental insurance, discounts at the local retail. We're talking about having a food pantry, providing a subsidy for childcare using our partner at the YMCA, vouchers for thrift shops, and even we have started to consider housing. And what will that mean? Because the average Nashua family cannot afford the average Nashua house price. So with that, a multitude of strategies, both socially determined, career-oriented, and using that stay interview as the tool to kind of build that trust and respect and focus totally on retention as a short-term strategy for the healthcare workforce. So thank you very much.